real estate holdbacks in Alberta. Well, this is one of my favorites because they're often done wrong. So whether you're working with a real estate agent or you're doing something on your own, a real estate holdback is typically something that we put into place to protect a buyer if the seller is promising to do something. I know, if someone promises to do something, of course they're going to do it. Sometimes they don't. And if you don't want to have to go through the court process to get your money out, where you have to sue and wait years to go in front of the judge and get an order and spend a lot on lawyers, we can do what's called a real estate holdback. So let's say someone says they're going to fix the roof. Well, great. What happens if you don't? We want to hold back $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, however much the buyer perceives as it's going to cost if they had to do the work themselves, that those funds sit in a lawyer's trust account, where if the work isn't done by a certain day, that those funds are released to the buyer. Now, it's really important to make sure these things are drafted properly. So I'd encourage you, if you're working with a real estate agent who suggests a holdback, have them call. We will work with them to make sure it's in a good situation for you. We want to really define what the work is. Fix the roof. Is that fixing 3 shingles or is that replacing the whole roof? So ideally we get a quote or something that sets out exactly what has to be done. We get the dollar amount that the buyer would be happy with in the event it's not done, and we're going to define how you can tell if it's done. We don't want to be in a situation where it's he said, she said on if it's done or not. We don't want it from a seller's perspective for it to be at the buyer's satisfaction because, there was a nail that could have been hammered a little more. I'm not satisfied. That doesn't work either. Ideally, we have something from a third party that's not subject to interpretation. For instance, is there a receipt showing that the work has been paid for? Is there a transfer of warranty to the buyer? If we have those things, we're going to consider the work to be done and the money would go back to the seller. If those things aren't provided by a certain date, then we're going to consider the work not done and the funds will go to the buyer. So we really want to make sure we work with the clients to make sure that we hit what they're understanding the deal to be, because sometimes there can be misunderstandings. For instance, let's say the buyer has to replace the roof. They get the holdback money, but it costs $2,000 more. We can put in the holdback clause who's liable for any shortfalls. Maybe the seller just wants to get off the hook and this is all I'm willing to contribute and the buyer's okay with it. Or maybe the buyer's intent is if we're short money, the seller has to kick up those funds. We don't want to leave it up to mystery or we have to go to court. We want it all in writing in your contract to make sure you are safe.